so let's do a new blueprint. Now this time it's actually well, let's click the controller first. So we want a AI controller, select that guy, select, and we'll call this Sentry controller. So the Sentry gun itself is going to be a new blueprint. It's going to be an actor. We call it Sentry gun. What else do we need? We need, well, remember from our other tutorials, when we're doing an AI, we need a controller, a behavior tree, and a blackboard. So let's just create a new miscellaneous blackboard, call that Sentry BB. We need a new miscellaneous behavior tree, Sentry BT. So Sentry controller, Sentry gun itself. Let's just make sure we've got the actual parts of this. So there are a couple of things we need to do. We need to add a static mesh component, which is the, well, I don't like doing that. It's already done it, hasn't it? Let's just add another component, a scene component. So I prefer having that as the root. And I want the let's just delete that guy. Right, so this is the root. We want to add a component of static mesh underneath it, and we'll call that the what's it called? Tripod. I've already created a mesh for that, so Sentry gun stand. Yeah, I might need to scale that down a fair bit. And I'll add another component, another static mesh, and this time Sentry gun. So again, I've got the gun mesh. Now obviously this guy's kind of a bit poor. Now normally with a Sentry gun, like I say, we drive this with animation, but right now we're just going to basically rotate this Sentry gun's position. So let's just add a component, arrow. So at least we're all pointing down the correct place. So I like to make the arrow just gives a direction from the gun. Don't know why, it's just a thing, you know. Okay, so our Sentry gun has got a few things that we need to fill out. So let's just take a break there, and I'll come back and fill in the graph of the Sentry gun. Okay, so I've had a quick slurp of tea, we can now get on with the rest of it. So there are a couple of things we probably want to do. First off is, so this is the Sentry gun blueprint. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to rename this guy here to muzzle point, or muzzle. So basically that's the place where we'll spawn the actual projectiles and stuff. Just gives us a sort of indicator of where it's going to come out of. So we need a new variable in this class of type actor. So actor this is going to be our target. So this is going to be the guy that we're firing at. And we're going to do the firing in our tick. We want to check to see whether we're pointing towards the target with the gun or not. So the question is, how do we get, assuming that we've got a valid target, so let's probably do that bit first, right? So is valid, is valid. So if something's set our target, let's just make that public so we can edit it. If we've got a valid target, then what we want to do is we want to say if we are looking straight at him, then we want to fire at him. Otherwise, so basically we want to start firing in this condition and stop firing in this condition, because in this condition we're kind of just waiting for the sentry gun to rotate towards the guy. So yeah, so if we haven't got a valid target, then, well, we probably should automate our firing thing, right? So let's just set a new Boolean value to say is firing. And we'll probably want to set that to false. If we haven't got a valid target. And so the big question is, how do we know if we've looking with the gun straight at the target? Because that's what we want our sentry to do, right? So we probably need some kind of rotation calculation here, but we need to be able to rotate the actual thing itself. So let's just add the variable for that first. Let's call it rotation speed or sentry turn rate. Let's call it that. Let's make that public as well. Oop, I didn't want that new variable. Let's just delete that for now. Okay, so how do we get, well, the first thing, we know that the target's valid, right? So we can say we can get the target and we can get its get actor location. So that's the position of the target. We can get the sentry gun's position. So if we get world location, and we probably want it on the sentry gun. Now, yeah, let's get it on the sentry gun. For us, and we want to say there's a function called find look at rotation. So essentially, if we get our position and we get the target position, we can get a vector out of that, which is the rotator for where we should be looking. And if we go to our components, the sentry gun is the thing we want to actually kind of let's just rename that, because Sentry gun's a bit misleading. Let's rename that to gun so we know which part it is. So what we're saying is we can get the gun and we can get the world rotation, and it's the difference between these two guys that determines whether we're actually looking towards the target or not. So let's just move that a little bit to the left. So we can say equals for the rotator. Let's just drag that guy in there and this guy in here. So if the two rotators are equal by 0.1, then we're saying we are looking towards the target. And if we are looking towards the target, all we need to do is we need to set is firing to true, and we want to sort of start firing our projectiles. Where's that? So there's okay, yeah, so we need to get the gun in there. Just rename that. Get world location. It's weird they add that, but whatever. So what we're saying is we're firing, and we should be able to let's just create a custom event for the actual firing itself. So add event, custom event, what we're going to call it, firing. It's a bit sort of lame, but whatever. So what we want to do is we want to, well, actually no, let's rename that because I don't like that. Fire gun. So what we can say is let's set a timer and call the customer again fire gun. We should probably set a new variable like firing rate, and set that as our firing rate for the Sentry. Now we'll set it to looping. So if we want to stop firing, we're going to have to reset this timer. And we know that if we haven't got a target, we want to stop firing, so we probably want to set the timer here. So is there a cancel? There should be some sort of let's see, clear, right, okay, clear timer. And again, the timer itself is fire gun. So that'll just stop it from firing if the target becomes invalid for any reason. So essentially, if our two rotations are aligned, we start firing. If they're not, then what we probably want to do is say, well, we want to branch in between here, really, don't we? Because this is the sort of value for true, but we don't want to set don't want to set this timer every time, right? So we probably only want to do we want to do it if we're not already firing. So we only want to do this branch on false. So what I'm saying here is that if our rotations are aligned to the target, then we want to say if we're not already firing, then we begin firing by setting this boolean to true, and we set this timer, a looping timer, to call this fire event. Now if it's not, what we're going to do is we're going to have to do some we're going to have to rotate the sentry gun towards the target, right? So what we can do is we can say, okay, set world rotation on the gun, and we want to do that essentially based off these two angles, right? So we can do we could either do a lerp, or we can do a thing called an R-interp, which is probably what we want to do, right? So let's just do that. R-interp to constant. So what that'll do is that'll give us our new rotation. So our interpolation values are essentially this guy here is the current rotation, or rather this guy here is the current rotation, and this guy here is what we want to actually rotate to. Now the delta time is the amount of time that passes in that particular time step. So let's just drag that from our event tick, and then the interpolation speed is how fast we want to be able to turn, right? So that just comes from our Sentry turn rate. So once we've got that, we could say, okay, so we're setting our rotation of our Sentry gun, but we know that we're not firing, so let's disable firing by setting is firing to false, and also make sure that our clear timer, make sure our timer isn't firing as well. So basically, if our angle is less than this threshold, then we start firing. Otherwise, we interpolate towards the desired angle and we stop firing. So the final bit is to actually do the firing, right? The firing code to make the projectile spawn and play the sound and do the muzzle flashes or whatever. So we can take that from pretty much the exact same code as we did with the weapon in the first person shooter guy, right? So we can do spawn actor from class. The class is projectile, or my projectile in this case, projectile. Now where we want to do it is we want to get the transform of that. We want to get world transform of this guy. Which is the transform of the spawning guy. And then we want to play a sound, right? So play sound at location. I will just use the get to location. On ourself as a location for the sound. And the sound itself, I can't remember what it was called. Template. Yeah, okay. I mean any sound basically. So that should spawn the projectile and play the sound for shooting. So the easiest way to test this, to make sure it works, is we'll create one of these Sentry guns in the world, and we'll set the target to be one of these guys. So that's cube 6, is it? So we select this guy and set its target to cube 6. And if we just save everything where we are and play. Okay, it's kind of interesting. It's certainly looking at it. Let's just move it over a bit and see what happens. Our turning rate might be a bit high, but it's not firing as well. Again, that could be a function of the turning rate, so let's just see. Sentry turn rate. Oh, okay. Firing rate. Well, firing rate would be a thing, so let's try that. Turn rate should be something, right? So let's say 10. Okay, so the Sentry's turning now. He's certainly looking in the right direction. So what's happening with this guy? Should probably say set the is firing to public as well. Let's just simulate. Be easy. So the guy turns towards the thing, so he's looking at it. It sets that is firing to true, and it starts firing. It's probably our firing rate's a little bit wonky. So you can see the is firing thing switching on and off to make sure. Let's just take that down a bit. Okay, so Sentry turn rate should be sort of 10ish, and okay. Now we probably want to apply that to our class so that when it spawns, oh actually no, we don't want to apply that to our class because we want to clear its target. Okay, so let's clear that and apply.